All right, let's get ready to dive into the world of wine.
I like it.
You know, swirl, sniff, and sip.
Yeah.
Our deep dive today is going to be based on this book, Vinho Você, um, Guia para Iniciantes e Curiosos,
Okay.
which, if you don't speak Portuguese, basically translates to Wine and You, a guide for beginners and the curious.
I see.
So think of us like your sommeliers
Yeah.
for this deep dive, especially since you're just starting out on your wine journey.
All right. So like your personal wine tour guide,
Exactly.
leading you through the essentials, but without,
Yeah.
the stuffy lectures or the confusing jargon.
No lectures, none of that. No pop quizzes.
No.
So the book kicks things off with a really cool fact.
Oh, okay.
Wine has been around for over 8,000 years.
Wow.
And get this, it wasn't just a drink back then.
Okay.
We're talking ancient Egyptians offering wine to their gods, Greeks toasting to Dionysus, and the Romans spread wine culture throughout their vast empire.
That's pretty impressive.
It really is. It's amazing how something that started, somewhere in the Middle East is now enjoyed all over the world.
What's fascinating to me, though, is how wine has evolved
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
like a sacred ritualistic drink
Right.
to this global phenomenon that's now embraced by a whole new generation for totally different reasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like young people today, they're all about experiences, connecting with friends, trying new things.
Right.
Wine fits right into that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Ryan has found a new way to be relevant, right?
Definitely.
And the book actually talks about how good quality wine is more accessible and affordable than ever before.
I agree.
Which is awesome. Plus, with so many different types and flavors to discover, there's literally a wine out there for everyone.
And speaking of types, Vinho e Você breaks down the world of wine into 5 main categories, which I think are super helpful, especially when you're navigating those sometimes overwhelming wine aisles.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's start with red wines, or vinhos tintos, as they say in Portuguese.
Vinhos tintos.
I know, right?
That sounds so good.
It does.
So what makes red wine so special?
Well,
I know they're made with red grapes, but beyond that, it's kind of a mystery to me.
it's true.
Yeah.
Well, think of red wines like on a spectrum, ranging from like light and fruity all the way to those big, bold, full-bodied ones
Oh, wow.
that like feel like velvet in your mouth.
I like that. I can almost taste it.
Some of the most popular reds you'll come across are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Pinot Noir, and Syrah.
Okay.
And each one brings its own unique character to the table,
Mm-hmm.
from like the black currant and cedar notes of a Cabernet to the smooth cherry flavors of a Merlot.
Okay, I'm already starting to see how diverse red wines can be.
Right.
Now, what about white wines? I'm guessing they're made with white grapes,
Mm-hmm.
but what else sets them apart?
You got it. White wines, or Vinos Brancos,
Love that.
are just as diverse as reds. They can be light and crisp, perfect for like a warm day, or rich and buttery, ideal for a cozy evening in. So think about like a Sauvignon Blanc with its zesty citrus and grassy notes,
Okay.
or a Chardonnay that's been aged in oak, giving it creamy vanilla and toasted hazelnut flavors.
See, now this is what I need.
Yeah,
Like, those specific flavor descriptions really help.
I know. It's so helpful.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier to imagine what I'm actually tasting.
And that's just the beginning.
Oh, there's more.
We also have rosé wines, or Vinos Rosés,
Minos Rosé.
which get their beautiful pink hue from a shorter period of contact with the red grape skins.
Okay.
They tend to be lighter and more refreshing, with flavors of like strawberry, watermelon, and sometimes even a hint of spice.
Oh, nice.
Imagine, sipping a glass on a sunny patio.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Pure bliss.
All right, rosé is officially on my to-try list.
Yes.
Now, what about those bubbly wines?
Oh, yes.
That always seem to make any occasion feel special.
We can't forget about sparkling wines. Or espumantes.
Espumantes.
From the elegance of champagne with its fine bubbles and yeasty notes,
Oh, yeah.
to the fruity and playful Prosecco.
Mm-hmm.
Sparkling wines are all about celebration and adding a touch of sparkle to life.
I love how they make you feel happy,
I know, exactly.
Now, on to the last category.
Okay.
Fortified wines.
Yes.
Now, those are the ones with a bit of extra alcohol, right?
Got it.
Okay.
Fortified wines, or vinos fortificados, are in a category of their own.
Okay.
They have additional alcohol added during the winemaking process,
Oh, okay.
which boosts their shelf life and creates these really rich and complex flavors.
Interesting.
And two of the most famous examples are port,
Okay.
a sweet red wine often enjoyed after dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and sherry, which comes in a range of styles from dry to sweet.
Okay, so now I at least know the main types of wine,
Mm-hmm.
but when I'm actually standing in the wine aisle,
Right.
staring at, like, a wall of bottles, how do I even begin to choose?
You know, that's a great question. It can feel
It can be
a
overwhelming.
little overwhelming, yeah.
It is.
That's where understanding wine labels comes in.
Okay.
And Vigno e Voce actually dedicates a whole section to deciphering these labels, turning them from like a mystery into a roadmap for your wine journey.
So it's like learning a new language.
It is.
It's the language of wine.
It really is.
Okay.
And it's not as complicated as it seems.
No, okay.
Let's break it down.
All right.
So the name on the label,
Mm-hmm.
it could be the winery, the brand, or a specific name for that particular wine.
Gotcha.
The region tells you where the grapes were grown,
Okay.
which can give you clues about the wine's style and flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the grape variety,
Yeah.
which is like a key factor in determining the wine's character. Everything from its aroma and flavor to its structure.
So if I see, like, Cabernet Sauvignon on the label,
Exactly.
I can expect those black currant and cedar notes we talked about earlier.
You got it.
Okay.
Now, the vintage, which is the year the grapes were harvested, is another important element.
Okay.
Different vintages can vary in quality and style depending on the weather conditions during that year.
Makes sense.
And then there's the alcohol content, which gives you an idea of the wine's body and intensity.
Wow. I never realized how much information is packed into, like, a tiny wine label.
Right.
So if I'm feeling adventurous
Yeah.
and I want to try something beyond the usual suspects, what does the book suggest?
Well, Vigno e Voce actually encourages you to explore lesser-known wine regions,
Oh, okay.
like Japan.
Japan. I had no idea they even made wine.
I know, right?
Wow.
It's a relatively new wine scene,
Okay.
but it's gaining traction.
Interesting.
Despite, like, the climate challenges,
Right.
they're using unique grapes, like Koshu, which produces a crisp, citrusy white wine with these delicate floral aromas.
Oh, wow.
So imagine sipping a glass with sushi,
That sounds amazing.
a true taste of Japanese craftsmanship.
All right, that's officially on my wine bucket list.
I love it.
What other, like, hidden gems does the book highlight?
Well, there's Greece, which has a rich winemaking history dating back thousands of years.
Wow.
They're known for these intriguing indigenous grape varieties, like Assyrtiko,
Okay.
which produces a dry, mineral white wine with a salty tang, perfect for seafood.
Oh, nice.
And then there's a Giorgatico, a red grape that creates full-bodied, fruity reds with hints of spice and dark chocolate.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes.
Exploring wine is all about discovering new flavors
Exactly.
and expanding our palates.
Absolutely.
And I have to admit, it all sounds so exciting,
I know, right?
but I still feel a little intimidated by, like, the whole wine thing.
Oh, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially when you're just starting out.
Especially for beginners,
For sure.
like me.
Yeah.
But Vigno e Voce emphasizes that choosing wine shouldn't be scary.
One of the best tips is to start by thinking about your own tastes.
Okay, good tip.
Do you prefer sweet or dry?
Right.
What other beverages do you enjoy?
That's a good point if someone loves their sugary soda. It's exactly.
Maybe they should start with a sweeter white wine, like a Riesling.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And if they're all about their bitter coffee,
Yeah.
perhaps, a bolder red like a Cabernet Sauvignon would be more their style.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's all about making those connections and using them as stepping stones
I like that.
into the world of wine.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Okay, what other tips?
Another great tip is to consider the occasion.
Okay.
Are you having a romantic dinner
Mm-hmm.
or a casual get-together with friends?
Right.
The occasion can help guide your wine choice.
All right, that makes sense.
And if you're still feeling lost,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay, good to know.
Ask the sommelier at the restaurant, the wine shop staff, or even just knowledgeable friends for recommendations.
Yeah, they're there to help.
They are.
Okay.
It's a great way to learn and discover new wines
Mm-hmm.
that you might not have found on your own.
I like that.
And most importantly, remember that exploring wine is all about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not about being an expert.
It's about enjoying the experience and
Exactly.
finding what you love.
Absolutely.
All right. That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to wine.
Nope.
The best wine is the one you enjoy the most.
I love that.
Now, speaking of enjoying wine, let's dive into the art of tasting.
Okay.
I've always been curious about how to taste wine like, a pro.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it feels a little intimidating.
I totally get it.
Yeah, like you need like a special vocabulary just to
Yeah.
describe what you're experiencing.
It can be a little overwhelming,
You can.
but Vinho e Você breaks down the tasting process in a way that's very approachable and enjoyable,
Good.
emphasizing that it's not about being pretentious.
Right. Yeah.
It's about enhancing your sensory experience and understanding what makes each wine unique.
Okay, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So where do we begin?
Well, the first step is visual. Just take a moment to observe the wine's color and clarity. Hold the glass up to the light.
Okay.
And notice the subtle nuances of color. Is it like a deep ruby red, a pale straw yellow, or a vibrant salmon pink? The color can give you clues about the grape variety,
Okay.
the age of the wine, and even how it was made.
I never really thought about it that way, but that's true.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, the color can tell a story.
It can.
Now, what about like the way the wine moves in the glass?
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you tilt it?
Gently tilt the glass.
Yeah.
And watch how the wine flows. And sometimes you see those streaks running down the inside of the glass.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Those are called legs.
Okay.
They can indicate the wine's body and alcohol content.
I've always wondered about those legs, you know?
I know, it's interesting.
Yeah, what do they mean?
So, after we've admired the visual aspects, what's next?
What's next?
Well, next comes the aroma, which is one of the most exciting parts of the tasting experience.
Okay, good.
Swirl the wine gently in the glass
Okay.
to release those captivating aromas,
Right.
and then take a deep inhale and just let your senses be transported.
I like that.
Yeah.
Transported by wine.
Totally.
Right.
And try to identify the different scents you pick up.
Okay.
Do you smell fruits like berries or citrus, floral notes like roses or violets,
Okay.
perhaps some earthy or spicy aromas?
It's like a whole bouquet of scents.
It really is.
In a single glass.
And don't be afraid to get creative with your descriptions.
Okay.
Sometimes I smell things like leather, tobacco, or even freshly cut grass in a wine.
That's what I need permission to let my imagination run wild.
Totally.
With those aromas.
Yeah.
All right, now for the main event,
Okay.
the taste.
The taste.
What do we do?
Take a small sip
Okay.
and let the wine linger on your palate.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the initial burst of flavors that hit your tongue. Is it fruity, tart, spicy, earthy?
Yeah.
What are those first impressions?
It's impressions.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
It really is like
Like a flavor explosion in your mouth.
exactly.
It is.
Like how many different flavors can be packed into a single sip?
It's amazing.
Yeah, no.
It's amazing how many different flavors can be packed into like a single sip.
I know, it's incredible.
It's like a flavor explosion in your mouth.
It is.
So what happens after the initial burst?
So as you continue to savor the wine,
Okay.
you want to pay attention to how the flavors evolve and change.
Oh, okay.
You know, and notice the texture.
Okay.
Is it like light and crisp or full and velvety?
Okay.
And then there's the structure,
Right.
which refers to elements like acidity, sweetness, and tannins,
Okay.
which give the wine its backbone and balance.
So it's not just about identifying the flavors, it's
Yeah.
about understanding how they all work together.
Exactly. Think of it like a symphony orchestra.
Okay.
Each instrument plays its part,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the harmonious blend of all the instruments
Right.
that creates the beautiful music.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It makes the whole tasting process seem less intimidating
Yeah.
and more like an enjoyable exploration.
Exactly.
And what about the aftertaste?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about the finish.
Okay.
How long do the flavors linger?
Mm-hmm.
Do they fade quickly
Okay.
or do they leave a lasting impression?
All right.
A good wine will have a pleasant and memorable finish.
That makes sense. So it's like the final note of the symphony?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Now, don't forget the final step,
Okay.
which is reflection.
Okay.
You know, after you've savored the wine, just take a moment to reflect on what stood out to you.
Okay.
What did you enjoy most?
Mm-hmm.
Were there any flavors or aromas that surprised you?
Right, right.
Taking notes can be a fun way to track your preferences and discover new favorites.
Ooh, that's a good tip. So it's like training our palates.
It is.
To appreciate all those nuances of wine.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of favorites, Vinho e Você has this really cool section called Top 10 Vinhos Baratos.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming means top 10 cheap wines.
That's exactly what it means.
Okay.
It's a treasure trove of affordable wines
Awesome.
that over-deliver on flavor.
And as a budget-conscious wine enthusiast, that definitely caught my attention.
I hear it.
I was like, yes, tell me more.
One that stands out is Vinho Verde from Portugal.
Okay, Vinho Verde, I've heard of that.
Yeah, imagine a wine so refreshing it's like biting into a juicy green apple.
Okay.
With a hint of spritz.
Oh, wow.
Perfect for a warm day or pairing with seafood.
All right, Vinho Verde is going on my shopping list.
I love it.
Any other budget-friendly recommendations that surprised you?
Well, for a light and fruity red that's perfect for everyday drinking, the book recommends Beaujolais from France.
Okay, Beaujolais, I've heard of that one too.
Have you tried it?
I have not, no.
You should. It's delicious.
Okay.
Imagine a wine with like bright aromas of cherries and raspberries.
Okay.
A touch of earthiness.
Yeah.
And like a vibrant acidity.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it perfect for pairing with poultry dishes.
Okay, Beaujolais is going on the list too.
Okay.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about building our own adegas at home.
All right.
Now, I have to admit, the idea of a wine cellar always seemed a bit fancy.
Yeah.
And out of reach for someone like me,
I understand.
who doesn't live in a castle.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But Vinho y Você really demystifies the idea of a wine cellar.
Yeah.
Showing you how to create the perfect environment for storing your precious bottles.
Right.
Even if you don't have like a dedicated underground space.
Exactly.
So it's possible to create an adega even in like a small apartment.
Absolutely.
Okay to know.
The key is to find a cool, dark, and slightly humid spot.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to maintain a consistent temperature between 12-14 degrees C
Okay.
and a humidity level of around 60-80% to prevent those corks from drying out.
Like a mini wine cave.
Exactly.
You got that.
And remember, darkness is your wine's best friend.
Okay.
Exposure to light can damage those delicate aromas and flavors.
Gotcha. So find a spot away from direct sunlight?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
Any other storage tips you should know?
Well, you tell me.
Okay, so storing your bottles horizontally is important,
Okay.
especially for long-term storage, as it keeps the cork moist
Right.
and prevents oxidation.
Okay.
And good ventilation is key
Right.
to prevent musty smells and mold growth.
So cool, dark, slightly humid,
Yep.
bottle stored horizontally, and good ventilation.
That's it.
Okay. I think I can handle that.
Awesome.
All right. Now let's move on to the art of food pairing.
Okay, yes.
Or harmonização,
Love that word.
as they say in Portuguese.
It's so fun to say.
It is.
Harmonização.
So I've always been curious about how to pair wine with food, but it can feel a bit like a guessing game sometimes, you know?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But Vinho y Você offers a simple yet very insightful approach to food pairing,
Okay.
emphasizing that it's all about finding combinations where the flavors of the food and wine complement and enhance each other,
Oh, okay.
creating a harmonious symphony on your palate.
All right. So it's not just about randomly picking a red for me and a white for fish.
Well, those are decent starting points.
Right. Like a rule of thumb,
Yeah.
but there's more to it.
There's so much more to explore.
Okay.
Like, think about the specific flavors of the dish and the wine.
Okay.
For instance, a pizza with tomato sauce and mozzarella cheese
Mm-hmm.
would pair beautifully with a juicy Italian red like Chianti or Montepulciano.
Okay.
The wine's acidity can cut through the richness of the cheese,
Right.
while its fruity notes complement the sweetness of the tomato sauce.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about like a classic burger?
For a burger, you might want something a little bolder,
Okay.
like a Zinfandel or a California Cabernet Sauvignon.
Mm-hmm.
Their full-bodied flavors and ripe tannins can stand up to the savory flavors of the meat
Right.
and any toppings.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Me too.
What about sushi?
Oh, sushi.
I've always wondered what wine pairs well with those delicate flavors.
Sushi is a great match for aromatic white wines like Sauvignon Blanc or dry Riesling.
Okay.
Their crisp acidity and bright flavors can cut through the richness of the fish
Mm-hmm.
and the subtle sweetness of the rice.
So it's all about finding that perfect balance between the wine and the food.
That's exactly it.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, are there any other, like, wine myths that Vinho y Você debunks?
You know, one of the most common misconceptions is that swirling the wine in the glass is just for show.
Right, like just to look cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But actually, swirling serves a very important purpose.
That's it.
It does. It aerates the wine.
Oh, okay.
releasing those complex aromas
Right.
and allowing you to fully appreciate its bouquet.
So it's not just about looking fancy.
It's not just about looking fancy.
It's about engaging with the wine on, like, a sensory level.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Another myth the book debunks
Okay.
is that all wines age well.
Oh, really?
While some wines, like certain reds from Bordeaux or Burgundy, are meant to age for decades,
Mm-hmm.
most wines are actually designed to be enjoyed young,
Oh,
within a few years of their vintage.
interesting. I've definitely learned that lesson the hard way.
I think we all have.
Yeah. But Vigno et Vosé also stresses that wine is not just for special occasions.
Right.
Which I like.
It encourages you to incorporate wine into your everyday life.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's enjoying a glass with dinner
Mm-hmm.
or sharing a bottle with friends on a weeknight.
It's about, wine is meant to be enjoyed,
Is.
not hoarded for special occasions.
Precisely.
Okay.
And as the book so beautifully puts it, the best wine is the one that brings you pleasure and joy.
I love that sentiment. It really does take the pressure off and reminds us that wine is all about, personal enjoyment.
Absolutely.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into Vigno et Vosé, I wanted to touch on something that really resonated with me.
Oh, okay. I'm all ears. What struck a chord?
Well, the book does a fantastic job of covering all the, technical aspects of wine, the types, the regions, the tasting process. But it got me thinking about, like, the human element behind all of this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There are real people with passions and stories behind every bottle of wine that we open.
You're so right. It's easy to get, caught up in the technicalities.
Yeah.
But wine is ultimately a product of human, creativity,
Mm-hmm.
dedication, and connection.
Yeah.
From the vineyard workers who tend the vines
Mm-hmm.
to the winemakers who carefully craft each bottle.
Right.
There's a whole chain of people who contribute to that final sip.
That's a good point. It's like a collaborative work of art in a way.
It really is.
Yeah. And then there are the sommeliers who guide us through this world of wine, sharing their knowledge and, helping us discover new favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget, the people we share wine with.
Oh, for sure.
Our friends, family, loved ones.
Yeah.
Wine has a way of, bringing people together.
It does.
Creating memories, sparking conversations.
It's true. Those shared experiences are what make wine so special.
Right. It's not just a drink.
Right.
It's a cultural touchstone,
Mm-hmm.
a symbol of celebration,
For sure.
and a way to connect with others across generations and cultures.
Absolutely.
And I think Vigno et Vosé really captures that beautifully.
Yeah, it does.
So as we conclude this deep dive,
All right.
I want to leave you with this thought to ponder.
Go ahead.
As you embark on your own wine journey, just remember that there's more to wine than just, grapes and fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
There are stories, traditions, and human connections woven into every bottle.
I love that. It adds a whole new layer of appreciation to every sip.
Absolutely. So next time you enjoy a glass of wine, take a moment to think about the people behind it, the hands that planted the vines, the artistry of the winemaker, the journey the wine has taken to reach your glass.
Beautifully said.
And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I highly encourage you to check out Vigno et Vosé for yourself.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
It is. It's a fantastic resource for anyone, starting their wine adventure.
Cheers to that. And remember, the world of wine is vast and full of, exciting discoveries.
It is.
So don't be afraid to explore, experiment, and find those wines that bring you joy.
Here's to embracing the journey.
Yes.
And savoring every sip.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy exploring.
Cheers.